time for another episode of The Oil Stream with Dustin Nielsen and Tom Gazzola, presented by Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen.
Hey, happy Wednesday, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Oil Stream. Nielsen and Gazzola with you. As always, The Oil Stream brought to you by Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen. Brand new location open down in Heritage Valley. Make sure you go swing down there and check it out. That means the juicy chicken nugs are now available in more areas around the city, which is the key here. Also coming on the way here at West Edmonton Mall as well. So Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen popping up all over the city, and happy to have them on for another year with the Oil Stream. Tommy, what's up, brother?
Not much. Good to see you, Dusty. I know today was a big day for you, Tammy, and the whole family.
Emotional morning, buddy.
I mean, I was, keeping the seat warm for you today on the Smash Hit Nielsen show. Always a pleasure to work with LTE and spend some time with the AM Nasties. But a lot of the listeners, I think they've got the book on you, buddy, because they're like guaranteed that Tammy and you are sending off the Muzz to her first day of school, and Tammy would have to be holding you as your eyeballs were sweating.
Do you know how hard it is to hold back tears when you're standing around a bunch of other parents in a classroom? I was just like, and they were reading. So we took Elizabeth to, Marshall went a little bit earlier because he's in grade 2. And then we took Elizabeth back. She had like her kindergarten orientation today. And she was only there for like an hour and a half, but we sat down and then they read this book called The Kissing Hand, which is like on the first day of school, the mom kisses the hand here, and then the love runs up into your heart and all this stuff. And we had the book at home, like we've read it to her multiple times. And I'm sitting there in the back. I was the only dad there. I was standing there in the classroom with a bunch of moms, and I'm like, God, why do they have to pick The Kissing Hand? Like, are you kidding me? So, but I know it was good, buddy. With both my kids, eventually, like next year, she'll be grade 1. She'll be full time. Right now, she's gonna be like 3.5 hours. What it'll do is when they're both in school, it'll give me more time to start more podcasts. So that's gonna be amazing. I can't wait. Wait for Oil Stream 2. It's a whole make-believe Oil Stream where we talk about things that we'd like to have happen or something like that.
Well, that sounds like a show that I'm familiar with.
I didn't say it, just in case to watch this later. I didn't say it.
I'm saying it with love. I'm saying it with love. It's a one-time crack, and when I get to the rink in 2 weeks, I don't want to hear from my friend Robert saying, why are you taking shots at my show? It's a very good program. People listen to it a lot, but I just had to get that shot in there. I'm sorry.
It's fun. He's a good sport. He's a good sport about that stuff, so it should be okay. All right, it's the Oil Series brought to you by Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen. Another reason I was emotional today is I usually tear up when I try to put together my Oilers top 10 prospects list. But usually, this one's pretty good. This one's pretty good. We're going to go top prospects 10 through 6, and then on Friday we will give you the top 5 prospects, and I think most of you can probably figure it out. I mean, if you go check out Lowtie's list, Lowtie does a great list over at The Athletic. Mine's somewhat similar. There's a few guys in different places. A few guys that maybe I'm a little bit higher on, a few guys that he's a little bit higher on, and that's how lists work. So we're going to do that as we work our way through this one as well. And as you can tell, starting on Friday, we're going to have another partner with the Oil Stream, and look forward to that in September. So we've got some big things coming in September, which should be very exciting for everybody involved. But let's get to your Boston Pizza Appetizer. And I do have to say, excellent time at the Capilano Boston Pizza. Huge shout out to everybody who came out to join us for the very first one. Hopefully, the momentum will build and we'll have a packed house by November when we're doing it at another Boston Pizza location. But stuck around after, had lunch with Tommy's mom. It was great. I had some Thai chicken bites. It was delicious. And overall, it was a really good experience.
It was awesome. Big thank you to Tara and to Cody. That was a lot of fun. And you're right, the crew that showed up to watch, listen, and kind of shoot the breeze with us. Awesome. So thank you. And here's a funny thing that kind of connects all of us. Oil Stream, BP's, Popeyes together. So we do our first show on location at BP's. It was a lot of fun. Great turnout. We had the cactus cuts. Remember, I was like,
we did have some cactus cuts. And we got to the bottom of the spice on those cactus cuts, which was huge.
And Eva G had a few, and she's like, oh my God, this is too spicy. And you're like, how do they do it? And thankfully, Cody told us the secret behind it. And the other thing Eva G said was, Dusty, you are so big. You're very tall. I'm like, I told you, he's a big guy. And she's like, I didn't really believe Tommy, but now I can see it. So Eva G shows up at BP's after our first on-location show, and that was her first day back at work. She works for Edmonton Catholic Schools. She sent me a picture the day before of her and Furby's mom.
From Popeyes.
From Popeyes. She works with Furby's mom. So it's like this whole circle of connectivity.
Wow. Yeah. 6 degrees of separation, Oil Stream edition.
Yeah. I didn't know she worked with Furby's mom. She's like, because I introduced her to Kyle at the football game, and she's like, is your mom blah, blah, blah? And he's like, yeah, that's my mom. I've worked with her for years. And I was like, what the hell is going on? So it all connected, intertwined, and it's good stuff. Good juju, as they like to say.
That is crazy. That's nuts. What a story. What a story. What a way to tie it all together. Maybe we could all catch up for Appy Hour daily from 2 to 5, and then again from noon to close at all of your Boston Pizzas. And if you don't want to go out, takeout and delivery options available, bostonpizza.com, or just download the BP's app. Tommy, a few of the guys back on the ice. That's the appetizer today.
Yummy. Here's a little taster for you for the BP's appetizer. So, yes, the guys are back on the ice. Very informal so far, and only a few guys. Mostly the local guys that are from in and around the area or spend their offseason here at Edmonton or around Edmonton. So we're talking about the Savoys. We're talking about Tyler Benson, Stuart Skinner. There's a bunch of, obviously, Edmonton area NHL and AHL guys. They're taking part in these skates, these informal sessions. With the Oilers guys at the DCA, because the ice is out in the main rink after World Juniors. They had a couple of concerts there. And then the big one yesterday that showed up was Leon Draisaitl. So he's back in tow, and he's skating with the group, getting ready for training camp, which is about 21 days away or so.
That's it, hey?
Camp in 15 days, yeah. Penticton's coming up, Dusty, and we're gonna be talking about this team and stuff that's actually happening on the ice just in a couple more weeks. So let's savor what's left of the summer and squeeze out what we can from it.
Just continuing with the Boston Pizza appetizer here. I know I still see people, you might have seen it on the show today with filling in for me or when I'm doing it or on Twitter. You still see a lot of people say, hey, they should sign this free agent. He's still out there. They should sign this free agent. Still out there. Tommy, are we ready to just say, if you're going to see any other fresh bodies, it's just PTO city, 1, 2, 3 PTOs. That kind of has to be that way, doesn't it?
Multiple PTOs is the logical thing that we should anticipate. I'll do some digging as well, sniff around, see if I could get anything on maybe potential names that are coming in. But listen, this is a team that still needs to get cap compliant. It has some time to do so. There could likely be a move. I don't think they want to play with a 22 or 21 man roster. Not ideal whatsoever. The LTIR factor, all that, it'll work itself out, but there probably is a move to be done, and that's moving a contract out. So, Dustin, PTOs, you could dish these things out like candy. It costs you a plane ticket, it costs you per diem, and it costs you accommodations, and then maybe a few sets of gear. There's no real downside to PTOs unless you're really worried about a guy that you're potentially bringing in getting signed by another team. But really, I think there's so many good players that are still kind of floating in the ethos of the hockey unrestricted free agency market that, everybody probably has a few guys that they got their eye on. And if they really want to have them, they throw them a PTO. And if they can, earn a spot on the team and get them at a reasonable rate. So I think there's going to be a bunch of PTO, a handful. I would say, as many as 5. That's just me ballparking it. But why not?
A lot of guys looking for work, man. It's as simple as that. Yeah. And you've got a spot here in Edmonton where they could maybe come, maybe earn a job, and maybe take a shot at a Stanley Cup here. So, that's something that, not just the Oilers, but I'd say there's 8 teams in the league that can legitimately offer some of these guys that type of opportunity for basically a league minimum deal. So we'll keep tabs on it. And, I'm sure Tommy will get some news. You'll see some other news pop up here about PTOs over the next couple of weeks. But that is your Boston Pizza appetizer today. Once again, Pasta Tuesday. You don't want to miss out on that. Absolutely delicious. And, of course, Appy Hour every day, 2 to 5, and then again from 9 until close. All right, you know what else is coming up here? And I know I've put you in a tough spot here over the last few years. This year what we'll do is we'll put a list together, both of us. We'll combine a list so I don't just leave you out hanging, but it'll be the annual Oil Stream Rankings of Importance. That'll be coming up in September. We've had fun with that the last couple of years.
We did it last year, and some of our viewers, listeners, don't necessarily love us or one of us, me in particular, and
Come on now.
hold the stupidest things against you as long as they can, and they'll go on with their 50 followers and bitch about you, and all their friends will gang up on you. It's cute. I really enjoy it. And then they'll text you on the show and be like, remember when you put
Tommy Gazzola had Koskinen at 19 on the Rankings of Importance.
Yeah. And it's like, it's a subjective list. It might not be exactly how you envisioned it. Everything's going to be okay.
Anyway, watch for the ROI in September. Yeah, very exciting.
Yeah, exactly. Yamamoto was better than Josh Archibald, which I said was totally probably what was going to happen. But when you don't like somebody, you get mad and needle them, and you think it bothers them, and it clearly does.
All right, let's get to the top 10 prospects. Well, 10 through 6, and I've laid this out, and I think it's probably pretty accurate to how the organization would view it. I mean, I think most people who've watched some of these guys at certain levels would probably agree this way as well. The guy at number 10, I know Lowtide on his list had him like 3 or 4 spots lower, but I'm going to put him at 10. What I'll do here, Tommy, is I'll run 10 through 6, and then we can kind of, discuss one or two of the guys. But at number 10, I've got Raphael Lavoie, and I got a few things I want to say about him. At number 9, I've got Nima Leinen, a little bit of a unicorn in the organization as far as, a full-blown guy who actually tries to hit to hurt. They don't have a lot of those guys. At number 8, I've got Sam Marukov trying to bounce back from just a god-awful NHL debut. That poor kid comes up, gets smoked a couple times, barely plays, and is back down. Matvei Petrov in at number 7, and then I've got Carter Savoy sitting at number 6. So, a nice little mix here. You got 3 forwards, a couple of defensemen on there. The forwards I find very interesting because you work your way higher up on this list. I think they're going to have 1, 2, 3 more forwards on the list still to come, and higher end guys. So these forwards this year getting a chance to start playing professional hockey in the American Hockey League, there's going to be a lot of ice time. There are a lot of guys looking for ice time down there. It'd be very interesting to see how they divide it up, which is why I think a lot of people are a little bit lower on Raphael Lavoie because he's had a little bit of a head start on some of these other guys who are just going to be coming in and try to take those jobs, and he hasn't taken advantage of it yet. This is a huge year for this guy when you're going to have the likes of, some of these other guys fighting for ice time and fighting for goal scoring opportunities in the American Hockey League. Like, I don't want to say step up this year or it's not happening. I'm not talking about playing in the National Hockey League. I'm just talking about locking down one of these very coveted jobs in the AHL. He's got to step up and do that this year.
Yeah. It's been interesting. Like, he's got the shot. He's got the pedigree. I know people have watched him with a keen eye, and there's been moments in the AHL where he's looked good, but then there's been other moments in the AHL where you just kind of his name kind of goes away. It drifts off, and you don't hear about him for a little bit, and then you go, well, what about Lavoie? Oh yeah, well, let's check in on what he's been doing. And it feels like it's kind of hit or miss, but make or to break it time. He's a big body. He can skate okay. He can finish, obviously, but here is where you're going to be a quote unquote veteran guy in Bakersfield. This is where you need to really show the organization that you've taken a step, and it's tough because you can fall into that AHL no man's land, and when it's already hard enough to fight for a spot on the big club, and you've got a bunch of guys that were drafted higher than you in higher rounds, regardless of the year, it's an uphill battle. So good point. Like, he has kind of drifted slowly to like you said, bottom 10, but we'll see where it goes.
I'll never forget one of the first things I heard about Lavoie, and I can't verify this myself. I haven't watched him a ton, but it stuck with me forever, and it almost feels maybe a little bit like it's kind of coming to roost here. I can't remember if it was before they drafted him. I was talking to a scout out east, or if it was after they drafted him, and I was asking him about him. But it was mentioned to me that he kind of approached the Q the way Pavel Brendel approached the Western Hockey League, and that was cheating up by the far blue line a lot. So part of me thinks that this might be a guy who has a ton of skill, but just wasn't coached the proper way in junior, and is still kind of learning maybe how to play professional hockey, how you're supposed to play professional hockey. That's kind of always stuck with me, and with the way that the development's gone so far, I guess that that kind of hits a little bit. I think he's trying to. I know it's this way for a lot of guys. You got to play different. Yeah. It's a rare breed that all of a sudden could step in from junior, even go to the American Hockey League, and there's no learning progression there. I think for him, that curve might have just been a little bit more because of the way he was allowed to play in the queue, and if it eventually clicks for him, that could be really good.
If he does make it work, it would come from the right attitude, willingness to learn on the fly like that at a pretty darn high level. And then the organization recognizing it and saying, all right, we're going to keep this guy around because we like the work he's putting in and we still value him and see some potential. So that's a good note. And I like that. If that was because Pavel Brendel, man, like he had a pretty bad reputation, like a ton of skill.
Oh, buddy.
But, it was all
I loved him.
The one blue line in,
he could finish like crazy.
Yeah.
But that dude didn't come back inside his own zone for his entire Calgary Hitmen career. I mean, he was also insane.
Was it him and Lundmark in the?
No, Jamie Lundmark was Mushaw. It was him and Brad Moran. Wasn't it Brad Moran? I think it was Brad Moran.
Rangers both. That was both.
Oh yeah. Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking about on the Calgary Hitmen.
No.
Did they draft him in the same draft? Let me just look that up quickly. Hang on.
Yeah,
let me look that up because Brendel went 4th, and then let me see, 99 draft. Yeah, Jamie Lundmark. Yeah, the Rangers had 2 picks in the top 10. They took Brendel and Lundmark. The Islanders had 3, and they took Tim Connolly, Taylor Pyatt, and Branislav Mezzi. And so 5 of the top 10 picks went to guys in New York. And
Connolly had a couple of good years with the Sabres.
Who was that? Connolly? Yeah. Connolly was the best of that group for sure. Brendel only ended up playing 78 games. So that was one of the comparisons that popped up. Samorukov or Niemelainen? If we're talking about an Oilers defenseman 2.5 years from now, Tommy, which one is it?
I think Niemelainen has the edge right now. Samorukov, it depends on if Dave Manson and Jay Woodcroft are willing to give him another chance and not play him 2 shifts where he gets burned and hit and then sees the bench for the rest of the night in St. Louis. But it's easy to write off a guy after a debut like that. But if he gets another crack at it, I'm sure he's going to make sure it's much better than what.
Well, he'll get another crack at some point, right? Like, nobody gets that little of opportunity, I would think, no matter how bad it was.
No, that's true. But I think Niemelainen has the edge there. Niemelainen's an interesting one because he got people thinking, look at that, a guy with a bit of sneer on the back end. Not named Darnell Nurse. Darnell Nurse obviously has to do a lot more than be a physical presence. But I feel like there's another guy in the top 6 on this list that might be ahead of Niemelainen on the pecking order, and we've talked about him a little bit already and the potential for him to play games this year.
Yeah, certainly, and we'll get 1 through 5 on Friday, and it's 5 names that you're probably thinking who it's going to be, and then we'll see what the order is. And then you got Savoie and. Carter Savoie and Matvei Petrov. And Petrov had an excellent year in the Ontario Hockey League. 90 points, 40 goals. Started red hot, but 40 goals in 63 games there. And, I think as far as the other forwards go, there's a clear-cut top tier, and that basically is based on where those guys are drafted. A lot of the places where these guys are drafted, I mean, Petrov was a 6th-round pick, found money if either of these 2 guys catch with the team over the next couple of years, isn't it?
Yeah, and the similarities between them is they're finishers known for their offense, right? But Savoie, I heard that like maybe more of a checking role if he does make it to the NHL. Just rumblings. These are musings. You hear some things like if he gets to the National Hockey League, his game might have to change a little bit. He can't just be a pure offensive guy. So that was kind of some rumblings around Savoie. Who knows what happens? He can help define his game at the pro level, and it'll take some time. And then the thing with Matvei Petrov is like they're hot for this guy. He's got the organization hot and bothered. And you're right, it might be found money with him. This guy apparently is a wizard. He keeps getting better and better, and he's deadly and lethal. And if he does make the big club, he could be that top 6 right winger. I don't know when that might be. Obviously, there's a bit of a learning curve that has to, progress and occur for this guy. But the things that he's capable of doing already and the flashes that he's shown has gotten Oilers management hot and bothered for this guy. Like he's a legit prospect. So Dusty, I wouldn't be surprised if he might be higher up on some lists and he winds up being a player in a few years. It's up to him. Depends how the organization brings him up, but it looks like and sounds like this is a guy that they really, really want to see. And the sheer ability of this guy offensively tantalizes the team.
Yeah, you didn't. You won't say it, so I will. The organization is really horny for Matvei Petrov. Essentially, right? That's what you're laying out here. Yeah. They're hot and bothered, as you mentioned. Like, yeah, I like that. Oh man, I am just hot and bothered right now. Like that's kind of. I love that.
Hot and bothered.
The list will continue on Friday, but the one thing that you look at this top 10, three of the guys who are laid out. These guys are shooters. They are goal scorers, right? And when you're an organization that drafts a Connor McDavid in 2015 and had Leon Draisaitl before him, the next 10 years for your organization, you should be drafting one-shot scores, guys who can get in some of those spots. All you need is one or two of them to click, whether they're drafted in the first round, the fifth round, or the sixth round. One or two of those guys to click, and all of a sudden, your organization is taking leaps and bounds ahead in a matter of 1 or 2 off seasons. So that's very big for them. So we'll get to the top 5 prospects. Pretty nice list that they put together. We'll get to that on Friday's episode. We wanted to get to the Fogle haters, but we said we'd only go about 20 minutes a day, and we're already at 21 and a half minutes. So we'll get to some of those Fogle haters in September, I guess, Tommy.
Well, I mean, the calendar flips tomorrow, so perhaps in September we'll get to that. Michael, I know, who visited us at BP's last week, really wants to get to the bottom of the Fogle hate because he's one of those guys where he has the scorn, which he shared with us. And if we don't get to it on the show, maybe we catch him at the rink. He is there as an off-ice official, and we can have that discussion with him in person, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe we will. Tommy, get us out of here, buddy. What do we got?
You got to like, share, and subscribe, and make sure to hit that bell button and the thumbs up for the algorithm. Hashtag influencers. Respect.
See you later, buddy.
Yeah.